I'm Bo Flex Warby, your host of the Flex Pretty Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I am joined by a very special guest, my very good friend, someone that I am inspired by, someone that I connected with a few years ago. And she has been an amazing, amazing friend, amazing person in my circle. I am so happy to welcome to the Flex Pretty Podcast, Whitney Fowler.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Now, Whitney, I can tell you now. I told you already, but I can tell you now. We're just having a conversation, all right? We can ignore these cameras and we can talk, right?
Yeah.
But you look around like, okay. But thank you so much for being here, Whitney. Before we dive into all the meat, I want you to tell me a little bit. Well, tell the viewers. I know a little bit about you. Well, a lot of bit about you, I feel. I know. But I want you to share just a bit about who you are, what you do with our viewers.
So a little bit about me. I am a yoga instructor, and I'm a pretty laid-back person. I like to do my own thing. I do not like to be on the clock much. So I run a bookkeeping company, and it keeps me free. So I like to be a little free where I can do my bookkeeping and do my yoga as well. So I like to live a carefree lifestyle, not too much pressure on myself. Mm-hmm. I like to do self-care things. So I like to make sure that
What do you consider self-care? What's your self-care stuff that you do?
So For I like my morning routine, so I like to have like a slow morning. Mm-hmm. I like to get up, make me some lemon water, do my exercise, some stretching, make me a healthy breakfast, maybe a smoothie or something like that, and do some devotions, get cute for the day.
Get cute.
And so I'll go about my day, and then in the evening time, I like to wind down. So take a nice shower, light some candles, play some music, journal a little bit, plan my day for tomorrow, and then maybe read a little book or so and get ready for bed. So throughout my day, and some self-care stuff too. I like to go get my hair done, my nails done. Like to chill out with friends and family. So those are things that I like to do.
Okay, thank you very much. I feel like you gave me interview answers.
No, it was not.
Okay.
All right.
So you mentioned so I know that you have a bookkeeping business and you are a yoga instructor. I know that yoga is your passion, right? So talk to me a little bit about, I guess, how that came to be. How did you decide, or when did you decide, all right, I love yoga. Like, how did you get into yoga? That's one part of the question. How did you get into yoga? At what point did you decide, all right, I love yoga and I now want to teach it? Talk me through that journey.
Well, I was always into meditating. So I know that it was something. When I was a kid, I was very giddy. So I was very active, always into something, whatever it was. And I didn't think it was a problem. But a lot of people commented on it. Said, girl, where you got all this energy from, and this and that and this and the next. So growing up, just searching for who I am. As you can see, I'm still searching for that first question. From that first question you asked, but just searching to see who I am. And I dabble into a lot of things, whether as, influenced by friends or influenced with all type of other things, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, anything. So I really just was searching for myself. And then, so whilst I was growing up, I got into, I can say smoking weed on your podcast.
Yes, you could say.
So I started to smoke weed, and it was quite fine for me.
I love how you whisper like you ain't right in front of the mic.
So I started to use like substance like that. And I was young, so my mom did not approve of it. And so just coming home and stink of it, the stench of it, she was like, not in my house. So I started Googling about meditating. It has to be a healthier way to meditate. This cannot be life.
Mm-hmm.
So I found yoga, a different meditating online, and I loved it. So it really was just the meditating part for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw something on Facebook, I think, and it was a yoga studio over here, and they were teaching free classes. And I was like, all right. So I started going to those classes like on a Sunday, and I loved it. I loved the fact that, well, I wasn't big on exercising, but just the movement, it was very easy for me to do. Body strength was fine, but I loved the breath work that came with everything. So all of the movements were intentional, and I really loved that. And so one day I didn't go to the class for a while. And then I was like, I really want to go to a yoga class. So probably around 2018. And when I saw they were doing yoga teacher training, I was like, hold on, I could be a yoga instructor. And so I applied for the yoga teacher training in 2019. And I loved it. The fact that it's just so much more to the body. You know, it's so much mind, body, spirit, mind, body, breath. All of that is connected. Mm-hmm. And I learned all of that through yoga teacher training. It was just so nice. And it's the fact that learning more about myself, it was great. And I loved it from then. And after yoga teacher training, I was like, hold on. I could teach yoga and make money. So, and from 2019, I got my yoga teacher training. In 2020, it was COVID, but I think I still did a few things. Mm-hmm. And it was going on from then.
Yeah, I know. That's when I actually connected with you in 2019. I think I had put a call out on Instagram saying that I was looking for instructors because we had just started putting together this program, the pilot program for the 12 weeks where we had the free group sessions. And so I was like, I can't do this by myself. So I was like, I need to bring on some instructors. And I remember putting it out there that I was looking for group instructors, not even yoga, but I remember you reached out and you were like, hey, like I'm about to be finishing up my certification. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. You're looking at me like, yeah.
I remember. And I was so nervous about it because I was still in teacher training.
Yeah, you told me that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was saying, oh, who am I? You know, just self-doubt.
Yeah.
But I was happy to reach out, and I was happy that you accept, and we clicked from then.
Yeah, like you and Christina, I met y'all within that same span, and I was just like, I don't know, like it was a good streak because both of y'all have kind of set the standard for the people that I want to work with.
Give me goosebumps.
And yeah, I mean, I was just telling her the other day, I was like, y'all set the standard so high that like people just can't reach that level. But yes, I did appreciate you reaching out, and I was really impressed that you did. The fact that you weren't done the training yet wasn't an issue for me. I was more impressed that you reached out and you were interested and you were ready to rock and roll. And yeah, you were like, look, this is what it is, but if you need me, this is when I'll be done. And like, I ready to dive in. And I respected that and I appreciated that. And it was really, really timely because like yoga wasn't even on my radar for that program. But when you reached out, I was like, maybe this may be a really good addition, something different than, I was originally thinking, but something that would have been beneficial to the participants, and I think they really did receive it well.
And I was so grateful for that opportunity because it got my feet wet, and I really appreciate that opportunity, and it helped me to work along with people better. And for those who don't know, Dekelshi is very structured, so it gave me so it helped me to structure my schedule. So she was like, this is what we're doing, and I love the fact that she created that opportunity for me and showed me that this is a business and this is possible to do. And I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's it.
All right, Yenny. So you are now an instructor. It's 2019. You got your certification. You start teaching. COVID hit, obviously. That kind of threw some stuff back. We're now in 2022. And I know when we connected in January, we connected late 2022. When I reached out to you with the teaching opportunity. And then we reconnected again January. I said we hadn't caught up in a while. We caught up and we were talking about some stuff. And this, I want to talk about this because I feel like a lot of people can identify with what you were struggling with before launching and taking that leap. So talk me through, I guess, what, I don't want to say setbacks, but what reservations, what did you feel was holding you back from going as full force and full-fledged into the arena of yoga that you saw yourself being in? Like, what held you back from walking out into that as not as soon as you, I guess, should have or wanted to?
It was self-doubt, doubting myself, not believing in myself. So basically being my own critic and asking myself, like, who do you think you are to do whatever it is that you want to do? So it was that lack of hard work, because you have to have that discipline to say that this is what I'm going to do and start to build better habits. So as simple as, instead of me rolling a joint, I would go sit for a minute and do a meditative for 5 minutes or so. And honestly, it will equal to the same feeling, or even the meditation part even better. So it's just about building healthy habits for me. So lack of self-doubt, bad habits, not working hard enough. So those basically were the two things that got me set back. So
what made you, all right, decide? I mean, it took some self-awareness to realize those things, right? So in addition to, sitting down and like really just digging deep and figuring out these are the things that are holding me back, once you figured those out, what flipped the switch to say, all right, now I'm going to push all that to the side and I'm going to do this thing?
What do I have to lose? One. And if I don't do it, it will get done. Somebody else will do it. But it's, Whitney, what do you want? Whitney, what do you want to do? If this is something that you're ready to push for, do it. What's the worst thing that could happen? So that's what I started asking myself, instead of what if this happened?
Who are you to do this?
Right, I am this person. So instead of what if something bad happened? Well, what if something good happens? So I just thought,
and even if something bad happens,
life goes on.
Is it the end of the world?
Right. So it's believing in myself and getting me an accountable partner as well, like someone to work with and be like, okay, Whitney, let's do this. Someone to help me push, because obviously I needed help because I couldn't do it on my own. So those were the things right there.
Awesome. So how would you describe your teaching style? Is it similar to what you would have learned in training, or do you feel like you took like a bit of what you learned, not a bit, but you took what you learned in training and kind of made it your own, took the pieces that you felt connected to the most? Like, what is your style of yoga? And like, how did you, I guess, come to figure out what that style would be?
So my style of yoga is a yin yoga. It's more of a meditative practice, because that is why I started yoga, for meditation. It also has about deep stretching as well. But in teacher's training, I went in teacher's training just to do a vinyasa flow. So a vinyasa flow is about strength building, fast movements, but it's mindful as well. Same breath work. I really liked it. And that was 200 hours. So we did 200 hours of training. And then immediately after my 200-hour training, they gave us an option to do yin yoga. And I was like, well, I'm already here. Might as well. And it was like 50 hours of yin yoga. And I already loved the vinyasa flow. And when I got into the yin yoga part, and it was about talking about just basically breath work, I was in love. So my style of teaching is yin yoga, and I also put a little bit of vinyasa in it just to spice it up a little bit, but it always will be revolved around breath work. So that's my style of yoga right now.
What advice do you have for people? This is a two-part question, so let me do the first part first so we don't forget the second part. The first part is, what advice do you have for people that have I know that a lot of people have misconceptions about yoga, right? I'm sure as an instructor, you meet people in their first class that are like, all right, I am not flexible. I've never done this. They feel like they have to be all these things. I guess almost similar to what would set people back in any new thing, right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid I'm going to look crazy. I'm afraid the person next to me is going to do better than me. I'm afraid I'm going to be judged. What advice do you have for people coming into yoga with you for the first time?
Come with no expectation. Release your judgment. And honestly, with me, once you're breathing, it's quite fine because it always will be revolved around breath work. Once you're being mindful of your breath, it is quite fine. So release the judgment within yourself. Be easy on yourself. Yoga is more than just the pretty poses. Mm-hmm. So, and most of the time, those persons that do those pretty poses, they practice a lot because it's not an easy thing to do with your body. Mm-hmm. So for those persons that experience yoga for the first time, come with no expectation, and it's one step at a time, and I would say one breath at a time.
I like that.
Hey,
one breath at a time.
That's it.
All right, Whitney. So, you mentioned your morning routine involves some sort of exercise. Are you kind of your yoga as exercise, or is that separate? Do you do any other type of physical activity in addition to yoga?
Yes. So I like a circuit, a nice circuit with my body weight.
Okay. That's all I got for you.
Okay. Okay, so I have days. So on a Monday, I'll do my arms. I'll do arm day. On a Tuesday, I'll do leg day. Wednesday, abs. Thursday, cardio. Friday, some legs and abs. And Saturday, arms and abs. Because this core needs to be tight.
Have you found that incorporating, the circuit training into your routine, your weekly routine, has benefited your yoga practice as well?
I think yoga has benefited my circuit because it is something new to me, mm-hmm. and something very new to me. So it's I try to make it more fun. I put my yoga skills in the circuit. So I really focus on my breath work, and I adjust it so it'll be more of a mindful movement.
Intentional movement. Yeah. Which is good. I think a lot of people, at least knowing the clients that I train, a lot of them don't focus on their breath through movement. And I constantly have to tell people, breathe. Mm-hmm. Why are you holding your breath in this movement? You are not stronger or weaker. You actually doing your body a disservice by holding your breath and not finding that rhythm of breathing while you train. But yeah, so I can see where.
Yeah, and I think
yoga has benefited.
It helps tunes you more as well.
The breathing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did a pre- and postnatal course, and a whole section of it was on diaphragmatic breathing and how people think, doing crunches and sit-ups and all these things, all these ab workouts are what's going to give you the defined core. But it's no, just breathing, learning how to breathe properly, expand, contract.
Most definitely.
Through your diaphragm is really almost like a core set, training. It's the body weight version of waist training, because your body learn to control your core more, and in turn strengthen, tighten.
Most definitely.
All of that.
And as simple as anxiety, depression, and stress, all of that
it's connected to your breathing. Yeah. They talk about the fight or flight.
Right.
When you're breathing incorrectly versus the rest and reset and relax, which is what yoga essentially leans on, right? That rest and reset for your your nervous system, for your nervous system, so your body starts to flush out toxins and rids itself of all that bad stuff. But
correct. And it's so funny that we this is something that we have with us all the time, thank God, so we can live, right? But people take it for granted.
Yeah. And then something that was interesting in the course too, talked about how babies are, you look at how a baby breathes, it breathes through its diaphragm. And so it's something that we kind of unlearn as we grow old, and we start to breathe from our chest more so our diaphragm, right? But it's if you watch a sleeping baby, you watch their belly expand and contract, right? And I thought that was interesting. It's true. We kind of learn, I think, as life stressors come upon us as we get older, we don't think about that stuff anymore as consciously as we should. And
two, we want this snatched waist. So with us inhaling and have to expand our belly, it doesn't look cute. So we don't want to inhale so much.
We want no breath, baby.
No, we don't, so we inhale through our chest, and that's where the anxiety starts, the depression starts, so.
Yeah, that's good. That's something to think about. I would definitely encourage y'all, if you haven't looked into diaphragmatic breathing, or you want something guided, like with Whitney, her yin classes that focus on the breathing and the mindful breathing, I definitely recommend it. I've noticed since I started doing it, which I just started really focusing on breath in my training, I would say when I did the certification, which was in 2020, somewhere around there. And I realized like how big of a difference it made, even in just me not getting as tired during my workouts. Like once I controlled my breathing and I focused on breathing from my diaphragm, I was like, I'm actually not as tired as I usually am. So I'd encourage you, if you don't, do it now. Go look it up.
That's it.
Research it. Add it into your routine. Yep. I mean, it's something you could do literally at any point. I used to do it laying in bed when I was getting ready for bed, like just focusing on inhaling, filling the belly, exhaling, navel to spine, right? I would do that. I made Ethan do it. Awesome. I would put my hand on his belly, like, inhale. I know, he used to be so sick of me. All right, well, Whitney, so the second part of that question, which I forgot to ask, was what advice do you have for people that are in a similar... that are kind of in their own way, like you were at, before you decided to take that leap into standing and walking into the amazing yoga instructor that you are, right? Right. Yeah, say right. Right. So what advice do you have for people that are battling with that similar feeling? It doesn't have to be in the same exact situation, but, they have this idea, they have this thing they're passionate about, they have this thing that they want to pursue, but they are doubting themselves. They may not know where to start. They may not be confident in it. They may feel like, oh, I don't know if I want to put in all the work. What advice do you have for them?
Well, I would start off by being mindful of your thoughts, so mindful of the questions that you're asking yourself. And why don't you want to do this? Or why do you think you're not ready? And my advice would be after you're mindful of that, if you don't believe in yourself after that, find yourself someone who could help you through it. So maybe a little accountability partner would be pretty great. And then to believe in yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? Really and truly, what's the worst thing that could happen? Have mercy on yourself. And think about it. Everyone had to start from somewhere. So even the best person in the world had to start from somewhere. So one, be mindful of the questions that you're asking yourself. And if one of the question is, I don't think I can. So maybe you will reframe that question as, I believe I can. Two, find yourself an accountability partner. Find someone to keep you accountable for whatever it is that you want to do. So tell that person, I'm ready to do whatever it is that you're ready to do, and let them keep you accountable for it. So every week, okay, you said that you were going to do this. Why you don't do it yet?
Where you at with this?
Right. Yeah. I think that is very helpful because obviously it's a struggle between you and yourself. Have grace. 3, have grace on yourself. Have grace on yourself. Everyone had to start from somewhere. And 4, think of it. Do you really want to do it? Do you really want to do it? Then do it.
So Nike say.
Just do it. Honestly, even with me on my journey now, this is I'm having weekly classes now. So this is something that I struggle with. This is something that I wanted to do for a long time, but self-doubt, not putting in the work, whatever else it was. And as simple as me putting in the effort of going out to my weekly classes and seeing, as simple as my sign that I have out there, and noticing people stopping and asking me questions, and just show up for yourself. And it is so rewarding to see that you're putting in that work and things are getting done by you. So,
you don't experience that if you don't do it.
Real.
I would add to that too. I feel like whenever you are passionate about something, or something is burning, you had this burning desire, like you said, to do your classes for a while, your regular classes for a while, but it was, you kept putting it off, making excuses, maybe not ready to commit to this long-term thing. But the reality is you had that desire for not just you, but you have the desire to build a community. And a lot of times, the thing that we're passionate about really doesn't just benefit us, right?
No.
It's oftentimes way bigger than us, right?
Yes.
You look at most successful brands, companies, they are rooted in serving, right? So yes, it's hopefully connected, something they're passionate about because it's been beneficial in their lives. I mean, for you, that's yoga. For me, that's fitness, right? But turning that now into a profession, turning that passion into, you know, I found my purpose through this, right? This thing has now brought me out of a dark place. This thing has now helped me to live and helped me to thrive. And now I want to share that with people. So you think about it, the longer you sit in that, the longer you stop yourself and hinder yourself from walking in that, you're doing a disservice to all those people that are waiting and ready to receive everything you have to share. And I think that that's how I look at it. Like when I'm holding on to something and I take in too long to move and jump and leap, I'm like, somebody is waiting for this. This is exactly what somebody may need to help them get through a difficult time, whether that may be depression, or they just need something to lift them from that dark place, or something to help improve their life in some way. And I could be that catalyst, right? And so I always tell myself, and I think that that's something you could kind of think of if you're in a similar place like that. Like, think about, even if it's one person, it ain't got to be 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000 people that are affected by what you do, but think about how rewarding that is, that you stepping out and making that leap, taking that jump would be for that one person, and or those people. And so don't be selfish.
No,
that's my advice. Don't be selfish.
Right. And I read something that says the work you do on yourself is the work you're going to do in the world, and that really stick with me. And I was like, okay, work on yourself. And once you work on yourself, and like how I worked on myself, taking me out of that dark place, that'll help somebody else today. And with the type of yoga that I do, we live in a heightened stress world. Like, everyone is really stressed out.
Especially post-COVID. Yeah, it's like we got double stress.
Right. So just the fact that, like, today in one of my classes, a lady fell asleep in Shavasana. And I appreciate that because I gave her that space to rest.
And to feel safe.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a reward for me, because people have bad sleeping habits. People have hard, difficult times to sleep. Like, we take medication for this type of thing. And I would hope that as simple as breath work, these depression medication could come to slow down a little bit, because we could do so much with just breath.
Our bodies, and just being intentional, right?
Yeah.
And when you create the space, the people follow. The people that need it follow. Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, Whitney.
That's it.
I got a game for us to play. We got a game of this or that. Okay. Sneakers or heels?
Heels.
I'm sneakers. Cooking or baking?
Cooking.
None of the above. All right. Gold or silver jewelry?
Gold.
I mean, I like gold too. Texting or calling?
Call me.
Text me. Text me. If you tell me that voice note, don't voice note me. Text me. Okay, summer or fall? Even though we ain't really got no fall there.
I like fall.
Me too. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
That's a hard one because I don't like chocolate. But
so none of the above. You don't like chocolate?
Maybe dark. I'll eat some dark chocolate.
I like milk. All right. Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
IG. Board games or card games?
Card games.
I'm a board game. I ain't know to play that much card games. Mountains or oceans? What you mean?
I mean, mountains look cool.
But they say that people that live by the ocean want to see the mountains, and people by the mountains want to see the ocean. Yep. But I love the ocean.
Of course. The ocean is
you better say it right now. All right, phone or laptop?
Laptop.
I'm a phone, I think. I mean, I use my laptop quite a bit too, but
to get more work done, I'll use my laptop.
Yeah, me too. But I think I would be a little more crippled if I didn't have my phone and I had my laptop, you know. But anyway,
it depends on what it is you're doing on it.
That's true. But I feel like I could do everything I do on my laptop on my phone. But if I have my laptop, maybe they'll work a little faster and like more comfortably. But I can't do everything I do on my phone on my laptop. You know what I mean? Like I can't call people.
I mean,
you could. I can. The shade. All right, Whitney. That's all I have for my this or that. Do you have any questions for me? Anything you want to find out from me? I asked you 1,000,001 questions. Do you want to ask me anything?
How do you balance it all?
I'm a superwoman.
That's it. With the S on my chest.
How do I balance it all? Honestly, like you mentioned earlier, structure, like trying to be as intentional as possible. Definitely protecting my space, protecting my circle, even being really intentional about the projects that I take on and how they're going to affect everything else that I'm doing. Being mindful of the people, being mindful of, and just also, I think my mindset is one that when I do start to feel overwhelmed, I remind myself that I signed up for this, you know?
Right.
And so trying to be as I'd say organization, mindset, and being intentional about where I put myself and how, you know, the places and the people that I put myself around is big, and just making sure that everything feels as good as it can, even though it is hectic sometimes and it can feel overwhelming. I take a step back if it does, and I examine, okay, what am I doing that isn't really serving, you know, me going forward, or, you know, what is making me feel off or bad? Why am I dreading doing this thing? Should I really be doing it? Or, you know, is it something that's draining me more than it's feeding me? So I think that's really, and then, you know, I pride I think a big thing is I do a lot of things that I actually enjoy, so it doesn't feel like strenuous. I also think growing up in I worked a lot as growing up in my dad's business, so I'm used to working. So when I'm not working, I feel triggered.
Something wrong.
I feel triggered, which may not be that healthy, but so, you know, it doesn't feel like a lot when I am doing it. So maybe that's. And I try to tell myself from the mindset angle that I get to do things, not I have to. Right. And that usually switches. Like whenever I feel myself like, oh, I really don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like going to this client. I don't feel like getting up at 4:30, 5 a.m. I don't want to. I have to sort of switch that to, you know what, to you used to dream. Like you wanted this. You asked for this. Like you get to do this. Right. A lot of people aren't in the position to do what they love every day, but you are. And so. Yeah, to kind of talking myself through some days. Some days it's a lot easier than others, but I think that's a big thing. You never really feel like you're balancing it all perfectly. Something is always a little out of whack, whether that's on the personal side, you know, because it's the business, it's the family, it's always, you know, some game of trying to level things out. I don't think you ever have anything perfectly leveled out, but you know, I think it's the intention behind it. And once you move in from a pure place. With good intentions, I think it all feels like it should.
Yeah, some say perfection is boring now.
I agree. I mean, you look at perfection is also unattainable, right? So yeah. Are you really striving towards perfection? Or are you striving towards your best self? You know, or what feels best for you, which may not be perfection. It may be a little bit of mess in there.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
So what about?
Oh, I love it. They got questions. Go ahead. I just joking. Go ahead, girl. Ask your question. I didn't have a whole list of questions for you. Go ahead.
Like, do you think you take things for granted? Like, do you think? My question was like 5 things that you take for granted, but do you think you take things for granted?
For sure.
Say more. What do you take?
No. I just joking. Things I take for granted, and I mean, sometimes I have to check myself on it. I think I take my husband for granted sometimes. I think I take his desire to serve, and because I'm so used to it, I think sometimes I automatically think that, okay, he's going to do. Because literally a lot of things I don't have to ask him to do, he does. He sees the need and he steps up. Yeah, and so I know for a fact sometimes I do take him for granted, and so I find myself checking myself a lot on that, especially lately. Try to be more intentional about that. I mean, just a lot of things I do every day. I take a working car. I take you know, food on my table for granted. I take my health you know, I feel like I take that for granted until I ain't feeling 100%. Like I was a couple weeks ago, I was nasally and eyes water, and I was like, I just want to feel good. You know, a lot of things. I think I don't stop and reflect as much as I should on a lot of stuff that, you know, the fact that my body is fully functioning. I have no injuries, no ailments. I can get up and run, jump, all these things that a lot of people can't do. You know, some people aren't able to do for whatever reason. So I think I used to, which I need to get back to, get up in the morning. I had a bit of a morning routine, kind of like you, where I'd spend the first 15, 30 minutes of my day like writing out things I'm grateful for, small things, big things. Just really, you know, getting into that space of gratitude.
Yeah.
But I do definitely think I take.
But that routine is not, it's not easy to do. When I say it's not easy to do, it's time consuming. So you have to put in that time, wake up a little earlier, you know, especially if you're probably working a 9 to 5 or 7 to 3, you have to wake up a little earlier just to get a workout in. So it's just time consuming with those morning routines. So before I used to really be hard on myself for my morning routine. Oh, you can't do it. And honestly, if I don't do my morning routine, I'm having a bad day.
You feel it, yeah. Honestly, like for me, I think now this year I got up a bit earlier than I did last year, and so that's been my struggle because I already get up at 4:30, and I got to be at my first client for 5:30 some days. So I think that I struggle with that. But even sometimes what I would do, like as I'm getting ready, I listen to guided meditation or gratitude meditation. So trying to, even though I'm not sitting in complete like stillness, I try to consume stuff in the morning that kind of puts me in a good space. Whether that's while I'm in the car, you know, it's dark, no one's on the road, I'm just listening to this meditation or, you know, something that's going to help set the tone for my day. So I'm not just riding in the car like, I am so upset I have to be up this early. Like, why am I up? No one even on the, like, you know, like all these negative things that are starting to tone in my day. And then a lot of times, you know, my clients, they ain't having the most fun when they're working out. So they also saying a lot of, you know, oh, I'm so tired. I'm, you know, and you're subconsciously taking all that in, and that's feeding your energy or draining your energy as well. So I think, I'm inspired. You've inspired me to kind of get more into routine, a morning routine for sure. I'm not really good with evenings. I'm kind of like as soon as 7:30 hit, I'm like, deuces, don't talk to me.
You think it's hard to sit in stillness though?
For sure. Even like I do your yoga classes, I'd be sitting there thinking about all kind of things. Like my mind is be racing. Shavasana, like the first 2 minutes maybe, I'm like, all right, this is nice. Then I'm like,
timing up yet?
I'm like opening my eyes, like, wow, the sky is really blue today.
Yeah, be mindful.
I try to bring myself back to like that, just like rest and like not think about anything, but it is hard. I think because like I said, I'm so used to going and like moving and working, my mind typically shifts to, okay, what do I have to do, or what's next, or so I do feel like I struggle a bit with just like clearing my mind or being still, because in my head I'm like, you don't in my head I see that as a luxury, like I can be still when I've earned it, you know. But I know that that's not the case.
When you said luxury, whilst I was in my yoga teacher's training, we talked about how when people see yoga, they see it as a luxury. So maybe, I don't know how to word it, but like it's for maybe the rich and famous, you know, not really for an everyday.
It ain't for everybody, yeah.
Right, it's not for everyday. And that's what triggered me to do my weekly classes, because I want to bring it to the locals. I want them to have an open mind towards yoga, like it is for everybody, and take that
stigma and that misconception out of it. Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's true. I mean, you said it the other day, and I never really thought about it until you said it. You were like, you know, there's really no space for Bahamians to sign up for, at least I don't know of any, sign up for regular classes or you know, subscriptions or whatever. It's really elite. Only, like, you know, you got to be behind the gates, basically, or have access behind the gates to really have access to regular scheduled classes, right? So I really do applaud you on, you know, seeing that need and that space for it and creating it, because I do think that a lot of people are going to benefit from it. I think a lot of people are going to to be able to get over a lot of things that, you know, they may not have been able to without it. I mean, from athletes to the everyday person, you know, like you said, it's for everybody.
Right.
And I also think the representation of Black women in yoga it's so small too, right? And so I think putting yourself out there and creating that space for and being that representation for Black women to say, you know, like, we can do this, we do this, we can do it, and this is literally for everybody. And I think clearing those misconceptions by showing, right, is, you know, a really big step.
Right. Because it started off with me as just an hobby. And I really didn't understand the benefits of it until I really got deeper into it. And as simple as, you know, switching a bad habit to a good habit. So imagine what else someone is battling with. And just the fact that they could come to my class or do some breathing exercises and make it into a hobby, you know, and it'll trickle down into whatever else. So that's what keeps me going now. It's like, okay, Whitney, you made a healthier habit. So imagine who else could do it. As simple as sitting in stillness for a minute. It's difficult now, but as you practice, it becomes natural.
Just like anything else, right? The more you do it, the better you feel about it. So, yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
All right.
So Whitney, I do appreciate you coming on. I know that you were a little anxious, you know, a little nervous maybe.
Just a little bit.
But I hope that I made you comfortable, you know.
Of course.
We had a little bit of liquid courage. You didn't even drink yours like that.
I told you.
Whitney come and talk about she ain't eat no breakfast and it's too dirty. Kind of mess. But I have dinner only. But I do appreciate you coming on, Whitney. And as always, it's been a pleasure chatting with you and getting to learn a little bit more about you. I feel like I always learn something new about you whenever we sit and talk. And so, good things, you know? Good things.
What you learn? On the spot.
What did I learn about you, Whitney? I didn't know you did both of your certifications at the same time. And what else did I learn about you, Whitney? Anyway,
that one is pretty good.
This ain't okay. That one is fine.
Yeah, that one is good.
What else I learned? You told me about the stuff you did before getting into yoga. I knew about that, but I don't know. I mean, I always just feel like there's something, you know, small nuggets you pick away from each conversation. I think when you dive a bit deeper, this conversation is well about the things that kind of hindered you and also the things that kind of propelled you too. So that was good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Whitney, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be in your company. You inspire me, and you honestly looking at. No, she fake crying. And just the fact to see you working hard every single day, going above and beyond for the things that you're passionate about, and the way that you put yourself out there, like you are your biggest cheerleader. I know I say Ethan loves you so much and he's a great cheerleader, but like you are your biggest cheerleader. You put yourself out there, and I appreciate that. And you inspire me. So it's like, okay, Jaquel doing this. Me and Jaquel are friends. I can do this too.
You sure can. Amen.
Like, just to be in your presence it's a benefit.
I appreciate that. And I do hope that whoever I connect with, forever long I connect with them, that they're able to kind of have that kind of thing to say, even if it's not as deep. You know, I'm hoping that I can help people in some way, regardless of what type of interaction, whether it's business, friendship, a passing, that they can say, you know what, like I took something away from Jaquel that's now going to help me move forward in some way in my life, whether that's personal, business, whatever it is, you know. I'm thankful for you for sharing that.
Yeah. And you helped me grow. It's like, okay, I'm Jaquel's friend, so I need to step it up sometimes. You know?
Do, you know.
Yeah. So,
I appreciate that.
No problem, girl.
So Whitney, if people want to connect with you, I want you to look right in at your camera and tell them how they can find you, where they can connect with you, website, socials, all that good stuff.
You can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook at I am Whitney Wellness on Instagram and Facebook, and on my website is www.whitneywellness.com. www.thewellnessbrands.com.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much, Whitney. It's been a pleasure. Let's do a cheers. You can make 2 big gulps. I'm just joking. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank y'all so much for joining us on the Flex Pretty podcast, where we talked about all things good, bad, and of course, pretty.
Hey, I like that.
Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye.